Hello and welcome to our special edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News, Christmas edition, live from Stonehenge. I'm not sure why. Who are you?
I am Merlin.
I see.
And who are you?
I'm Craig Nolan, anchor of the Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. That's it.
Somehow I knew that. Hey, how did you like this henge I knocked out in just one afternoon?
Not bad, but you don't look like the Merlin I remember reading about.
Well, that's because I'm reincarnated. Otherwise, I'd be too old now.
I see. Say, there's something I always wondered. Why did you build this place in the first place, and why did you build it like this?
Well, it's complicated.
Uh-huh. I mean, with all the slabs lined up the way they are, what's all that about?
Like I said, it's complicated. But never mind that, I have a vision. Well, a social media announcement. You can watch the Arlington Weekly News on our very own YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Arlington Weekly News. And also on our Facebook channel, facebook.com/Arlington Weekly News.
Craig. Don't forget the number one.
Number one.
And also on WERA 96.7 LPFM. Check us out. Well, it means it's time for the news. Here we go. Well, the Westover neighborhood was the scene of a reported stabbing on December 8th at about 8:30 p.m. The incident took place in the 1200 block of North Kenilworth Street, about 2.5 blocks east of the Westover Shopping Center. According to a police report, the victim was approached by 3 males, one of whom stabbed the victim multiple times with a knife during a physical altercation. The suspects then fled the scene, and the victim managed to go to an area hospital where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. The suspects, take 2 suspects, are described as 3 white males, and the investigation is ongoing. Merlin.
Well, at least they're safe now. Well, the intersection of North Evergreen Street and Washington Boulevard has been made just a little bit safer with the addition of a new stretch of sidewalk around the southeast corner. Pedestrians and pets now have a continuous walkway rounding that corner as they pass from North Evergreen to Washington Boulevard on their way toward Leap Road, as well as for the return trip.
And with more on Westover woes, we have more bad news from the Westover market. According to a police report, at approximately 1:50 a.m., an unknown suspect forced entry into a business, causing damage, and stole an undisclosed amount of cash and items of value. The suspect is described as a male wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, and gloves. As it turns out, 2 establishments were burglarized, not just one. The Lost Dog Cafe and the Grand Hunan Restaurant, both in the 5800 block of Washington Boulevard. At the Lost Dog Cafe, a safe was dragged through the restaurant, and at Grand Hunan, a security camera was disconnected, and the front glass doors of both establishments were smashed. The investigation is ongoing. Merlin.
That's a shame. It couldn't happen here, though.
Why not?
Well, I made a Stonehenge without glass.
All right, well, just read the next story, Merlin, okay?
Well, a market study commissioned by Arlington Economic Development has warned at the county board of a threat to longtime business along Columbia Pike in South Arlington. Reportedly, the threat is not from rising rents, but from redevelopment, which may be accelerated by the arrival of the tech giant Amazon nearby. The recommendations include grants or low-interest loans for real estate improvements to legacy stores, support to help small businesses adapt to new technologies, and implementing a relocation support program for displaced legacy tenants. This reminds me of what happened to some of the droids when the Romans came in.
Yes, the Druids. What happened to the Druids?
They mostly relocated.
I see. Indeed, they did. All right. Well, now let's hear a little something called "It's Easy Being Green." Check it out.
Hello, my name is not Adele Quo, but we do still have Joe Tree Frog here to make you feel at home. Today we're going to talk about the Green Man. The Green Man image has made a resurgence in modern times. Contemporary artists have rendered him in wood, marble, paintings, and other forms, even tattoos. He has been evoked in songs by Jethro Tull and XTC. But who was he? Or maybe, who is he? Well, for one thing, he's not a Martian guy, that's for sure. I'm not knocking the little green men you read or hear about in some science fiction, but they just aren't the Green Man. He is frequently described as a kind of foliate head. That's a face made of or surrounded by leaves. Despite his allegedly pagan origins, the Green Man turns up in a large number of churches, chapels, abbeys, and cathedrals. This may be due to the efforts of the early churches to assimilate or integrate elements of the existing culture. As a concept, the Green Man has generally been associated with the themes of rebirth and the growth cycle of spring. However, some believe that he emerged from a number of independent cultures in separate traditions. He has been loosely associated with the stories of characters as diverse as Robin Hood, Peter Pan, and even Father Christmas. The character of Tom Bombadil from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings has been identified as an embodiment of the Green Man theme. There are also animal versions of the Green Man, including green cats, green lions, and even green demons. As a potentially unrelated item, the image of the Green Man has become popular in several pubs. It's probably a cultural reference and not a symptom of over-imbibing. In case you were wondering, there are a few green women, just not as many in popular culture. Many people may not have been aware of this character until now, but if you start looking around, you might be surprised at how many places he turns up. At any rate, he's been around for centuries and shows no signs of disappearing. Perhaps it's best to say that this just proves that it's easy being a Green Man. It's easy being green.
Thank you, Sprouticus. All right, here we go now, as promised. Whether we know if we promised or not, but here it is anyway, our CBB Community Bulletin Board file. Backed by popular demand, Jersey Boys will be returning to DC's National Theater for another run of performances. This 2006 Tony Award-winning musical tells the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons as they rise to fame and all of the struggles that come along the way. This show contains strong language and is recommended for ages 12 and older. The production will run from Tuesday, December 17 through Sunday, January 5th at the National Theater. They're located at 1321 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington. For ticket information and more general information, you can check out their website at www.thenationaldc.com or give them a call at the number on your screen and in your ear now, 1-800-514-3849. Merlin.
Well, Nolan, with the new year right around the corner, I'm sure many people are planning their resolutions. But how often do you stick to your goals? If you're looking for a way to stay motivated, creating a vision board, well, can certainly help. This event will teach you what vision boards are, and materials will be provided to help you make your own. This free event is happening on Friday, December the 27th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's at the Arlington Male Community Center, located at 909 South Dinwiddie Street. Vision boards, I like the sound of that. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Vision boards. We all need one. All right, also in our CBB file, sometime or story time is a great way for children to learn valuable life lessons while they grow up. This event will introduce your young folks to the importance of being nice with a reading of the Kindness Book with games and activities to follow. This event takes place Saturday, December 28 at 11 in the AM portion of the day at Barnes & Noble Booksellers, located at 2800 Clarendon Boulevard, Suite 500. Be nice.
I like the sound of that.
Merlin.
Well, Nolan, Synthetic Theater is back with a fun event for kids in grades K through 5. It's called the Physical Theater Workshop. Let's get physical. And it's all about imagination and the willingness to play. There will be plenty of activities and games. Comfortable shoes are certainly recommended for this event. That's coming up on Monday, December the 30th, from 2 to 3 p.m. in the Donnellan Auditorium at the Central Library, 1015 North Quincy Street. You can register online. Actually, why would you wear uncomfortable shoes?
Wear comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
And as always, thanks to Jordan Kuharski for this
Kuharski.
week's CBB Stories. We'll be back with the news for seniors right after we hear from Denise Pringle, our theater reviewer, and her thoughts on A Christmas Carol. Here's Denise.
Yes.
Olney Theater Center is continuing its tradition of hosting Paul Morella's one-man adaptation of A Christmas Carol, based on the 1843 novella by Charles Dickens. This is the 10th anniversary production at Olney. It is the classic redemption story of Ebenezer Scrooge, the ill-tempered miser who transforms, early one Christmas morning, into a benevolent humanitarian after being visited by the spirit of his deceased partner, Jacob Marley, and the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. At this time of year, hundreds of productions of A Christmas Carol are being mounted across the country. There are several in this area alone. I have seen many of them, but I consider Morella's adaptation to be the ultimate. He tells the story in much the same way that Dickens did readings of his own works. He carefully chooses passages from the novella and totally inhabits each of the characters, giving them voices and mannerisms, expressive faces, and unique personas. You'll recognize the remorse of Marley, the loyalty of Bob Cratchit, the mirth of the Fezziwigs, the heartache of Belle, and the optimism of sickly Tiny Tim. He places a great emphasis on the fact that A Christmas Carol is, at its core, a ghost story. In his darkened bedchamber, Scrooge is visited by the three ghosts who startle him into seeing the errors of his dark and lonely life and awaken him as a compassionate, joyful soul. Morella truly captures the exuberance as well as the misery of Scrooge, whose name has become a synonym for a mean-spirited miser. Morella started A Christmas Carol at the theater in the Arts Barn in Gaithersburg in 2009. The production was entirely self-produced on a shoestring budget. The only splurge was sound design by Edward Moser. A stroke of luck brought it to the attention of the artistic director of Olney, who booked it for December of 2010. It has now played there for 10 years. It has evolved with the additions of a more sophisticated set, effective projections, and evocative lighting. Morella has collaborated with a group of artists each year to keep his storytelling fresh and tweaked his performance to perfection. A Christmas Carol continues at the Olney Theater Center through December 29th. It richly deserves to become part of your holiday celebration. Humbug if you miss it. I'm Denise Pringle. Now back to the news desk.
All right, as promised, now I have them here. News for Seniors glasses in place. News for Seniors, here we go. Arlington's 55-plus program coordinates all programs, events, and activities at 5 55-plus centers. 3 centers are located in South Arlington, Walter Reed, Arlington Mill, and Aurora Hills, and 2 are in North Arlington, Langston Brown, and Lee. In 2020, the new Lubber Run Community Center will also have senior programming. All of these programs can be accessed by registering for a 55-plus pass and a gold pass, if you like, and pay the annual fee of about $20. For more information about the benefits of becoming a 55-plus member, stop by one of the centers or give them a call at 703-228-4721. Say, Merlin, you're 55-plus, right?
Not in this spotty.
I see. Okay. Walking groups, that must be yours. You can read that one.
Well, there are 4 walking groups for 55-plus members. Aurora Hills has a fast-paced group called Fast Forwards. They meet every Friday at 9 a.m. for a 3 to 4 mile loop in the vicinity of Aurora Hills. On some occasions, they will carpool to another location. Another group, known as the Arlington Male Trekkers, meets every Thursday at 9 a.m. They walk along the W&OD and 4-mile run trails. The Lee 55-plus Center walkers and members of the Arlington Walking Club travel to various destinations by van and walk for an hour. There is $4 cost for transportation, of course. Well, for more information, call them at 703-228-4771.
A nominal fee. Also in our News for Seniors, well, usually once a month, Arlington Mill 55-plus Center hosts an art swap. I remember him. Artists can either bring their own finished artwork or create a piece on site. Each finished work is traded for a single raffle ticket. Raffle members are drawn at the end of the event, and winners can select from the pieces that are created. This is a wonderful opportunity for local artists to get to know each other and network a bit. Arlington Mill is located at 909 South Dinwiddie Street. More information is available at this number, 703-228-7369. And as always, thanks to Judy Misabni of OSAP,
Judy,
Office of Senior
we love
Adult
you,
Programs,
and you,
for sending us these stories. We'll be back with sign off and bye-bye right after we hear from our styrofoam mom and her guest. Here's Miriam.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Sustainable Scoop. I believe that every year there's one scoop I want everyone to tune into. And this year it's with my guest, Andrew Roszak. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Andrew, you're working in an area that we wish didn't have to exist, but you're preparing educators in the event that there is a crisis or a potential shooter in preschools and early childhood programs. How did you come up with this idea for a program like this?
Well, correct. Yeah. So we started getting inquiries about, what are we going to do in the event that the worst day in the world happens to us? And as I was looking around throughout the landscape, I realized we have a lot of plans in place for colleges and universities and high schools and churches, but there really wasn't anything for the early childhood sector. So I started putting together a curriculum on what are we going to do to, first off, prevent this type of incident from happening, but then second off, if it does happen, how are we going to respond? So I put a curriculum together, and we've been traveling the country teaching the curriculum. So far we've been in 17 states, including 9 Native American tribal nations, and we've trained over 15,000 early childhood professionals on active shooter preparedness and response techniques.
And so this is not about going in and creating chaos and watching people react or overreact or make mistakes. It's really about creating a methodical plan that people can sit back, discuss, kind of run through, and then have a certain sense of confidence that they're prepared for something they hope will never happen.
Absolutely. We want early childhood folks to be taking care of the kids. That's what their bread and butter is. That's what they're good at. That's where their focus needs to be and should be. We can't expect them to be emergency preparedness experts. That's just not fair. So our courses are designed to help educate and empower individuals on what to do. We do it calmly. We do it thought-provokingly. We embrace the critical thinking skills. But at the end of the day, it's all about, how do we put yourself in that very unique situation? Because each classroom is very, very different. How do we put you in your unique situation to respond to these type of events?
I really appreciate this statement. Don't be scared, be prepared. That's really important, and it's empowering. As you said, there are certain things that people should do in those situations, and they increase their likelihood of safety if they do. So what are some of the basics, the rock bottom basics?
Well, I think we look pre-incident before we even start about, the actual incident. So simple things that are low cost and you can do, tomorrow, stuff like making sure you have sign in and sign out procedures. I can't tell you how many times we go to a school or a child care or a similar place and the doors are completely open and unlocked. I'm sorry, and it's sad to say, but we're past that point in our country at this time.
Right, we have to be vigilant.
Absolutely, and something as simple as locking your doors, again, that doesn't cost a lot of money to do. Other things that I see all the time is if you have a keypad at your facility, that's good, that's a step in the right direction. But a lot of times those keypads have never been changed. So the combination is always the same. It's the same for everybody. Sometimes the combination is 1234 or 4321 or the zip code of the place that we're at or the last 4 digits of the phone number.
Right.
That's just silly. We need to do better than that. And if that's the kind of security that you have at your place, gosh, I would really encourage you to change that and randomize that. You should be changing that code frequently. I would say at least, once a month or once a quarter at least.
Well, some of that is from the administrative standpoint. So you're definitely helping the administrators understand better how they can protect the facility. But for the workers, the people who are in the rooms with the babies, 6, 7 months, 2 years old, I mean, that's a huge responsibility. They can't go running out the door with these children. So what do they do?
Right, so that's where kind of the traditional run, hide, fight mantra kind of falls apart. It's great for an office, it's great for a high school, it's not so great if you've got a 2-month-old in your care, right?
Right.
So our strategy here really needs to be, how do we buy time? How do we make it as difficult as possible for these bad people to get to us and to get to the kids in our care? So first off, we want to take proactive measures to mask our identity, mask our location, so we hope that the bad person walks right by and doesn't even realize that we're there. Now that's going to be pretty difficult to do in this stressful situation, and it's very hard, as you know, to make a 3-year-old suddenly, or a 3-month-old even stop crying.
Right.
So, we also have to rely on proven techniques of barricading doors, getting ready to prepare to defend ourselves if need be, and just being prepared overall for what tools can you do, what barricades can you build to make it as difficult as possible for that person to see you and for that person to get to you.
So, and really work as a team.
Right.
So that everybody's on the same page, because that's really critical, that the frame of mind remains calm, and then they maintain as much control as they can under those circumstances. Now, you've written some books on this, and I think that's really fantastic, because not everybody gets a training course. So tell me about those.
Yeah, we're really excited. We have a 3-book series coming out. The first one will be out in early 2020, and that will be talking about this very issue, active shooter preparedness in the preschool, pre-kindergarten setting. So that'll be out in, I think, March. And then we have the next one coming on emergency preparedness basics, so what you can do to prepare and make your plans as best as you can and drill appropriately. And then the final one, I've been spending a bunch of time in the last 2 years down in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico working on disaster recovery ever since the hurricanes hit. So the last and final book will be about recovery and that long road. And as we sit here today, 2+ years after, there's still a lot of need down there and a lot of people that life is not back to normal. So that's the final book talking about recovery.
Well, I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing around the country with Sesame Street, writing your books. How do people stay in touch with you so that they might be able to reach out and utilize the services that you offer?
Well, we can easily be found on our website, and that's childhoodpreparedness.org. We're also very, very active on social media, so our Facebook page is up and running, and we have all sorts of stuff on there. Every day we post stories or infographics or things that can help people, Instagram and Twitter as well. And a lot of the stuff, honestly, we just want to get the word out. So you'll find a whole host of free resources if you go to our website and check out the resource page.
Well, thank you so much, Andy Roszak, yes, for being with us today. And I hope you'll come back and let us know how things are going.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And I want to thank all of you for watching this very important edition of the Sustainable Scoop. I'm Miriam Gennari. Back to the news desk.
All right, thanks, Miriam.
Thank
As you may
you,
have noticed,
Miriam.
the news desk is not here. It's just
Where
us.
is
So, but we got to wrap up and get out of here. But before we do, just like to wish all of you a safe and happy holiday season.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we have some guests that are showing up behind us here in our Stonehenge edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News for this 2019 version of our Christmas show. And we have, who are you?
Well, this is carbon neutral.
Of course it is. And you are Well, we should know who you are.
Princess Leia.
What kind of magic
Princess
is
Leia.
that?
Carbon neutral here is giving me the hot shoulder.
I know, I'm trying to figure out
Carbon
why
neutral,
is
give me
carbon
the hot
neutral
shoulder.
here at Stonehenge?
Really, what are you doing here at
Stonehenge?
Stonehenge?
I thought it was Styrohenge.
Styrohenge.
Are you
No,
a
that should
scientist?
be Styrohenge.
Besides, I'm just here to do some carbon dating.
There it is.
Oh.
Absolutely.
And what about you,
Have you been
Leia?
carbon dating lately?
Oh, well, you know, I'm just here with my Han Solo to
Very
you
nice.
all, and on his sustainable ship, which we have this wonderful garden on his ship, and we do composting
I'm
actually.
sure you do.
Oh, that's hot.
I was
Quite
making
carbon.
this wonderful strawberry shortcake the other day. Oh, it was so, I was cutting that strawberry and I got this overwhelming urge to ask Han to talk dirty to me. And so
Uh-huh.
he took that strawberry and he held it and he put it in my moist composting bin. And then
Steaming hot.
it was
Composting.
steaming hot.
We gotta go. What would a Christmas show be without this guy? What are you doing here?
Santa!
It's
I'm
Santa!
having a senior moment.
Yeah, of
I
course
checked
you
my
are.
list once and I can't find my list.
What
I don't
happened
know
to your
my
list?
I don't know.
I have a list.
Why do you have a list?
Why?
You ever heard of Craig's?
Oh! Can I have your
You
list?
can borrow my
Can I
list
have my
anytime,
list?
of course. You can
Oh,
borrow my
You've
list.
been a nice boy.
No
You've been a nice
problem.
boy.
Any day, any day. Carbon's giving me the hot
Would you
shoulder.
put a little? Would you put a little coal in my stocking?
Yeah, of course. A little coal.
Really? But
You're
put it
all
under
coal.
pressure.
Oh,
Ho ho ho!
Yeah.
What would Christmas be without the Christmas Nationals?
Absolutely.
World Series!
World Series winners. Where did you get that suit?
Santa gave it to me.
Of course he did.
Early.
And where did you get that suit?
Not the magic.
Must have got it off of Craigslist. Of course you did. Of course.
Craigslist.
So, once again, thank you for watching this Christmas edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. Thanks to all of you out there. Have a safe and happy holiday season. And in a couple of weeks, if you're out there, we'll be here and we'll do it all again. Have a safe week.
Keep
Merry
it
Christmas!
Keep it sustainable.